G'day guys, welcome back to SuperCoach with DR and welcome to the round 5 review. A little bit of a late one this week, talk about that in a minute, but ouch. It was a really tough round for Jordan Ridley owners. That's the big news this week. He's gone down with a concussion. Really unexpected. You can't plan for these type of things, and I don't think many people even noticed it at the time. It just seemed like such an innocuous incident, but unfortunately he's going to miss the Anzac Day clash against Collingwood. And that masterstroke trade that I thought that I made a couple of weeks ago before the price rises, out Lochineel in Jordan Ridley, well, that's just turned on its head within the matter of 1 week. This is what the game can do to you, SuperCoach. Some of us have a really lucky week, get the rookie scores right, no premium injuries, maybe a couple of those blokes even going above expectation. And then we have those other weeks where we cop some injuries, just some low scores from pods and premiums that we need to score well in order for us to boost up the rankings. These things happen. So you go up, you go down in SuperCoach, but it's all part of the game. You know, me personally, 21.78 for this week, so certainly under par. For the last 3 weeks, I've moved up in the rankings, top 1% round ranking in each of those weeks. But now, yeah, top 15% for this round. So that sent my rank down 346 places. Now outside the top 1,000, unfortunately, 1,185. And the team is not looking as good as what I thought it was looking last week. Not just because of the Jordan Ridley injury, but there are a couple of premiums in my side that I am getting overly frustrated with. But I must say, thank you very much to KO, because I went into this hospital with my little fella. It was on the Friday. I was actually speaking to Spills on the phone just before it, and he had to have his appendix taken out. So it was all planned. Had about a week's notice. All good. Planned for just a day surgery, so I was going to plan on taking him home that night. But unfortunately, a couple of little complications. Nothing too serious. He's now at home. He's fine. But I was there for 2 days, so I spent basically the whole weekend in the hospital, slept in a chair for a couple of nights, so my neck is aching at the moment. But that's all part of life, isn't it? You do these things as a parent. But yeah, thank God for KO, because I did actually get to watch a couple of matches. A couple of them I was flicking between the two, but Lions wrapped with that win against Essendon. I was worried that if we somehow dropped that match, that our finals aspirations were getting close to going out the window, I think. So wrapped in that respect from a Lions supporter's point of view. But as you can see, the SuperCoach side didn't do too well. So we'll take a look at the side and see how we actually went. Congratulations. What's it? 8 out of 10 league matches. So that's actually a bit of a surprise. I think I must have got lucky there, because below par score, I think, for sure. I'll just go out a little bit here. So in the back line, the Seagull didn't watch any of this game, unfortunately, but 100, he's managed to hit the ton. That's okay. You know, an average of 106.6. He's still, I think, in the top 5 defenders for the season, so I'll live with that, particularly given some of the premium scores in our back lines this week. Jordan Ridley, as I said, just a real kick in the marbles for owners and a real blessing for non-owners. 588,900. What will that price go down to? I'll talk about this a lot more in the stock market video, but I'm certainly holding. There's no way that I'm going to trade Ridley, because there was nothing to suggest that his scoring was going to take a downward spiral. Nothing whatsoever. So I'm assuming that when he comes back from his concussion, you know, take that extra week off. That's protocol anyway. You have to do it. But he should come back and, bounce back to that form. I don't see why I wouldn't. You know, some players with a concussion do take a little bit of extra time. I hope that's not the case with Ridley, but I wouldn't be looking to trade him at this stage. Now, Tommy Stewart, this is one of the blokes that saved my round. So career high disposals for Tommy was absolutely everywhere. I did catch a little bit of this game, and I think there was about an 8-second period where he got 2 handballs and then a kick. So I was just thinking, you absolute ripper. So Tommy Stewart with the 152. He's not a pod, but lots of people went Daniel over Stewart, for example, and I don't think that there was many Daniel owners that would have invested in Stewart last week. I think the most popular picks would have unfortunately been Jordan Ridley. That's who I would have suggested anyway, and Jack Bowes as well. And unfortunately, he didn't have a great game either, with a 70-odd score and a bit of a change in role, which is slightly concerning, and I didn't see that coming either. So, yeah, to have Tommy Stewart there on that Sunday with a 152 really saved my rounds and gave me a half respectable score, I suppose you could say. Shorty, down week from him, but the Richmond defenders overall, I don't think scored well. No one went near the ton, I don't think. So didn't see a whole heap of the action down there anyway. They gave the Saints a bit of a belting. So I'm not overly concerned with that 74. I just think that he'll bounce back. Not concerned at all with Jaden Shaw. Jordan Clark, so didn't play, obviously got dropped for this round. And I'll tell you what, I had my heart in my mouth because with all this stuff at the hospital, I wasn't thinking straight and had Butts as the emergency and just thought, well, Clark's not playing, that's fine, just leave him there as the emergency. And then I see that he's the medical sub and I was just going, you're joking me. I've got this nice score of 81 from Butts there that I want on the field. And if he comes in, even at half time, 3/4 time, somewhere through the fourth quarter, then I'm absolutely stuffed and I'm going even further down in the rankings this week. So really happy that he didn't come on. I was worried Dangerfield was really proppy there. So thank you very much, SuperCoach Gods. That was one thing that you saved me with this round, and I do appreciate it. No offence in any way. Heath Chapman, I watched a bit of this game, mainly the first half, and he was looking really good. I was thinking, an 80, 85 might be on the cards. Yeah, maybe pushing a 90 if he has a really solid second half, but not really sure what happened with him, to be honest. But 54, if you compare it to some of the other scores that we've been getting from rookies from time to time, then it's not the worst. And I really rate him as a player, Heath Chapman. I think that the Dockers have got an absolute ripper in Chapman. Seems pretty courageous. I've seen him take a couple of really nice contested marks the last couple of weeks and seems to make some pretty good decisions. Been caught a couple of times, but as a young player, I think he's been really impressive and someone who I'm still happy, I think, to play on field at this stage. Butsy, 81, is one of those blokes that seems to... and again, it's just like the lottery, is that he'll give you a 30-odd score one week and then he can punch out an 80 to 90 score on another occasion. So he's one of those players that's good. If you can ever loop him with someone like a Highmore, if you've got someone down back that isn't going to be playing and it works by looping Butts there, then I'd always make sure that you definitely have a look at it, because if he's getting a 90 or an 80 score, then you most likely want that at your D6 on field. So disappointed with Tommy Highmore again. I've heard mixed reports. Now, some people have said he was dominating the resis on the weekend. Other people said, oh, look, he was solid, but not fantastic. I hope that he comes in because St Kilda got absolutely smashed over the weekend, and I think they'll look to make some changes, or I'm hoping anyway. Will Highmore be part of those changes? Yeah, I don't have the answers, but fingers crossed, I hope so, because we want some cash from Highmore. He should have made at least 100k by now, but he's still sitting there lingering on 117,300 with no cash generation at all. So come on, Rats, do us a favour and play Tommy Highmore, mate. In the midfield, so you can see two good scores here. Oliver, I thought that was probably more than a 115 plus game. Again, maybe biased as an owner, but really happy with the Oliver selection. I think that Oliver, Steele and McRae are the three blokes that you've got to have. And unfortunately, I love this bloke. You know how much I love him, Lachie Neale. If he is over those back injuries, then yeah, he's going to be a must-have as well. Now, I'm a little bit disappointed because I did get definitely an inside whisper. Now, I don't have a heap of inside connections or anything like that, but I was speaking to someone very close inside to Brisbane, and the information that I got was that, and this was a couple of weeks ago, was that Neil's likely to actually miss a game or two. So it was looking pretty bad, and congratulations to Lachie Neale for actually pushing through the pain. But yeah, that was some bad info that I've got. Look, maybe that could have been the plan, and maybe they were looking to rest him, and he's just said, nah, I'm putting my hand up to play. I'm the Brownlow medalist. If I say that I'm right, I'm going to push through. I'm not sure what the case was, but that certainly, yeah, wasn't what happened. And as I said, Lachie came back with a 150 plus on the weekend, Ridley with his 31 there. Yeah, you're up 120 points just on that week. So, yeah, we'll leave that for the stock market video anyway. I won't go on any more about that. Zachy Merritt, a 130. We've been waiting for this. Fantastic. Then that average now is looking so much better at a 109, close to that 110 mark. So I'm hoping that that will be more the norm, that sort of 120 to 130 mark. I'm not overly confident, but yeah, just so pleased that he's finally come out with a half-decent score, because he's just lingering around that 105 mark, and it just wasn't what I was expecting and what I wasn't paying up for at the start of the year from Zach Merritt. So 130, thumbs up for Zachy. Now, this is a bloke that I'm just overly frustrated with. Now, I've got a lot of stats on him. I'm not going to go through those now because, again, I will leave that for the stock market video. But this is not a good selection, I don't think. I've now got major concerns with Tom Mitchell. And again, I'm not going to go through this now. I will go through it in a lot more detail. But for the amount of possessions that this bloke gets, he just... I'm worried that to get to that ceiling that he had, what was it, 2-3 years ago now, in that Brownlow year, he's going to have to get 60 possessions, Tommy Mitchell, because he goes 30 plus every week. There's one week he hasn't gone below 30, which was against Geelong. I think he went 24 possessions that game with the Mark O'Connor tag. So that was actually, I thought, a really good sign from Tommy Mitchell. The fact that he didn't manage to hit the ton. He went close, had a pretty close tag all day. I thought that was really, really good signs. But, he didn't really cop much attention, I don't think, over the weekend, and still racked up the pill, as he usually does. But a 76 at the end of the day, it's absolutely killing me, because most people have a Jack McRae in this position, maybe a Jack Steele as well. Two of those blokes that I mentioned are must-haves this year. And I'm sitting there with a Tommy Mitchell at 76. So he's just going to leak cash, and at this stage, I wouldn't let the price point tempt you into bringing Mitchell in, because you're hoping at this stage, if you're looking closely at the data, what Mitchell's producing, what he's getting scored for what he's producing, it's not looking like a good selection at this stage. And I picked him. I started with Dangerfield. He was a must-trade in my opinion, I thought, given the fact he was 3 weeks suspended. So Mitchell was a very, very similar price point in the midfield. I just thought that he's a really safe selection. He'd already punched out a 135, which again has been his high score for the year, which I haven't had in my side. Again, that's really disappointing. So yeah, he's an overly frustrating pick at this stage. But yeah, I'll go into more detail, as I've said probably 3 times already. So I'll leave Mitchell for now. But yeah, that 76 is really hurting me. Laird, 94. Again, he's had a pretty underwhelming year, hasn't he? With a 103. Looks certainly okay. And we're not talking disasters here with Rory Laird, but a little bit underwhelming. I thought 105 to 110. And again, he's close to that, 103.4. We're only 5 rounds in, so there's a lot of time for him to come good. Definitely concerned when we saw him come off. Thought he had the AC injury there in the shoulder, but he looks okay. Maybe a little bit sore. Pretty sure that he'll come up and play this week. But yeah, we need more of those 120 plus scores from Laird, because he's got the right role. He's got the opportunity there, but it just hasn't managed to translate into overly good SuperCoach scores this year, unfortunately. Goulden, 66. You can't complain with this bloke, because you know that you're not going to get a 30-odd score from him. That's just not going to happen with an Errol, I don't think. Or it will be very, very rare, I think, if he does. There's always a chance. You never know with a first-year rookie. But a 66, I think you can stomach that, particularly when you got guys like Berry there, 31. He could be a trade-out candidate this week. What was unfortunate for Berry is that he only laid 1 tackle, I think. I could be wrong there, but it was either 1 or 2 tackles. I think it was only 1 tackle. And that's what he relies on in order to score well. And when I say score well, we're talking 40s to 60s tops for Berry. So given the fact that was a really low tackle count, he doesn't win a heap of the ball. When he does, most of it's contested. Yeah, if he doesn't tackle, he's not going to score well. So 31... yeah, disappointing from Berry. Tommy Powell, really happy with this bloke. So 74, coming off 100 last week. Yeah, his price is going up. If you've traded him out for any reason, yeah, that's been a failed trade out, because he's still got some good money to make. And just one of those on-field options that is looking pretty reliable at this stage. So if he goes anywhere below a 60, I think that's going to be disappointing from Powell from now on. He's averaging 70.4. So I expect him, or hope anyway, that he'll continue to go around that mark, keep making a little bit more cash, and when the time's right, we'll get rid of him. Berry, I've talked about, just disappointing. 213,000. The trouble is, if you're trading players like Berry out, you're not making much cash. He's almost made 100k or close to, but you always at least like 150k from these type of blokes. So what am I going to do? At this stage, I'm probably just going to have to keep him, because I've got other concerns in my side. But yeah, if you do trade him out and you can get up to a premium, then you may look to do that. Brockman didn't play and ended up taking Scott 61. So I thought this would be a pretty smart move. Take advantage of the loop and get that 61 on field and not play Jordan. But yeah, of course, he's my best rookie score in the mids after a couple of 20-odd scores. Really low time on ground, but that was boosted a little bit, that time on ground this week. And yeah, just one of those weeks where the rookie roulette didn't go my way. Still with a Scott, I think you've almost got to take that with a 61 over a Jordan. If you looked at Jordan's average at the time, that was lower than 61. So yeah, I still feel that I played it okay, but just a little bit unlucky there. Pfeiffer didn't have to use this week as my loop. Into the rucks. Big Maxi. So you can rely on this bloke most weeks for your captain. It's going to be very, very rare when he goes sub 110 even. Sub 100, I don't think you'll see much during the year, if at all, the way Gawn's going at the moment. But a 172 as captain. I said a couple of weeks ago that you've probably broken either way. If you went the set and forget, Gawn and Grundy, or else if you went with maybe a Grundy and a Flynn or a Gawn and Flynn. But yeah, I now think it's certainly in Gawndy's favour, because a 172 and a 134, obviously Flynn didn't play on the weekend. You may have had one of these guys, and who was it? Maybe Meek. Well, he didn't play either, so there's a donut there. Tracy even, I don't even know what he scored, but I don't think it was anything flash. Fullerton didn't play. Yeah, what are you doing at the moment? That's why it's just so dangerous when you don't start with the two big boys. And yeah, absolutely wrapped with the set and forget ruck strategy at this stage. Flinney didn't play. And yeah, Dunkley and Zeble between them outscored the rest of these four blokes on the field. So Dunkley to 148. What more do you say about him? I copped a little bit of flack last year when I suggested that I'd really, really consider giving up to top 10 picks for Josh Dunkley. I just rate him as a player. I really, really rate him. His leadership, his ball-winning ability, and I'll talk just purely from a SuperCoach perspective, that ceiling. He's just got such a massive ceiling, and that was a risk of not starting Dunkley this year. Obviously, the risk was we didn't know his role 100%, but for the price that we paid for him and what we know that this man is capable of, it was just a no-brainer decision. You know, I did get cold feet after speaking with George a little bit about Dunkley, and thought, look, if this man is off Dunkley, you know, the president of the Dunkley fan club, George, then I've got to be a little bit concerned as well. But yeah, that quickly changed, I think, and wrapped that I started with him. If you don't have him, he's certainly hurting you. But again, I said that about Ridley last week, so I don't want to curse Josh Dunkley. I'm going to just shut my mouth about him now. Dusty Martin, again, one of these blokes that's just very underwhelming as a trade-in. It's like he knows that he's the best player in the competition, and he's almost going to show that off. So, you know, rather than just take the easy, sensible option at times, I feel that he just holds on to the ball, takes a look around, a bit of, look at me, look how good I am, and just try to bite off, like a kick right around the body, maybe a 30-metre dart that ends up dribbling somewhere, or, he's just been butchering the ball, unfortunately. It's a bit like Tommy Mitchell as well, just not effective with his kick. So, Dusty, I wish that he'd just take a little bit, well, when I say a little bit more time, just take the easy option, don't wait around and do something fancy. He's always looking, even if he's in a really good position, take a shot on goal, for example, that, little handball somewhere. I just feel he's playing a little bit fancy, and I'm not sure if this is just because I'm a little bit of a frustrated owner of Dusty, particularly given the fact, remember, that I did miss out on those round 1 and 2 scores, which is the big scores for Dusty. Apart from that, hasn't even turned up. So, yeah, very frustrated with Dusty at the moment, and just waiting for one of these huge games. But a lot of us are in the same boat, I suppose, with Dusty, but I have wasted a trade on him, which is unfortunate. Jack Zeble, I've had concerns for probably the first 4 weeks. Is he definitely a keeper? I was sort of 85% sure. Certainly leaning towards yes. But now just lock it in. 148, averaging 119 for the season. I thought, 80 would be really good. Pushing 90. I thought 90 is absolute best. Do not expect anything more than 90 from Zeble. And I was someone that was really critical of the move pre-season. Zeble to the back line just didn't make sense for me at the time. But it's been an absolute masterstroke for us as super coaches. I'm not too sure from North Melbourne team perspective, because he has been criticised for not being the best defender, but his role is just built for SuperCoach and good SuperCoach scoring. So absolutely wrapped with Zeble. And look, if you don't have him, 478,000 for a bloke that's averaging 119 is still an absolute bargain. Durability may be a slight concern. I don't think the role's going to change. I've seen nothing that would suggest that. So I think most people have got him anyway, but if you don't, yeah, he's certainly a trading option still at this point, I think. Jarman Impey, an 84, one of his lowest scores for the season. So if that's the case, you can live with that. 98.2, yeah, no worries with Impey. I still think that he's a keeper as well at this stage. Big fan of Jarman Impey. Warner, 50. So again, one of the only fails for Warner for the season. So I'm going to forgive him. I've loved what he's produced this year. Didn't actually get to watch the game, so can't comment on that. But disappointing for what he's averaging. You know, you want that 80 to 90 type score from him, but it may not be realistic from someone like Warner. Remember, he is still a young bloke. He may look a little bit older, and what he does on the field suggests that he's, you know, a mature type bloke, but he's still a young footballer, and we've got to expect scores like this from time to time. Another ultra frustrating pick here, Braden Campbell. I keep keeping the faith in Campbell over Rowe, and it's hurt me the last couple of weeks. And the issue with me now is that I'm thinking, if I don't end up trading Campbell this week, which I really want to, but we'll talk about that maybe a little bit later, even in the stock market, I'm worried that if I finally bench Campbell and put Rowe on field, that he's going to punch out a 118 or something, and I'm just going to be kicking myself for doing it. So it's such a tough position. Do you keep with Campbell? Do you go with Rowe? Do you even chuck a Waterman on there? Look, the game wasn't built for Waterman on the weekend, but I still thought I've got to trade him in at that price. And 27 is a really low score, but they were just terrible conditions, and I'm hoping that he'll bounce back a little bit. And James Rowe, yeah, 79, that's really good. And lots of people did have him on field. I just thought that going into the season, the plan was to pay up a little bit more for Campbell, because I thought he'd have much better scoring potential than Rowe and not have to play Rowe on field. I thought that would be a really big advantage to my side, but it hasn't worked out like that, because if I'd have fielded Rowe every week over Campbell, remember Campbell did have that really nice 100 plus score, as did Rowe in round one, I would have been better off with Rowe, because he's now got a better season average. So I think for this week, I'm pretty much just going to have to bite the bullet. I'll see who they play and work all that sort of stuff out later, but yeah, close to, yeah, definitely a trade out, I think, Braden Campbell. Waterman, as I spoke a little bit about, but that is the team. A little bit disappointing, as I said, this week, but I think we can bounce back. I'll work out all the rookies and all the rest. To be honest, haven't had much time to think about SuperCoach this week, so I know that for one of my trades, though, it will be Jordan Clark. He's got to go, this man. I don't want to risk him being the medical sub, actually starting to lose money. I'm not even sure when they're going to be playing this week, so maybe an early game you could find out if he's playing early and then make a decision. But at this stage, I just think that the sensible move is probably to get Jones in. So 69 on the weekend. I think this just makes sense. Clark's got to go. Is he in Geelong's best 22? Not at the moment. Does he come back in? I'm not too sure. But he's just too much for liability down there. And you got Highmore that's not playing. I'm really hoping that he does this week, but he's certainly no guarantee. Only played the 2 matches, as we know. Yeah, it's just so risky. I can obviously just pop Laird back there, which gives me a little bit more security. And another issue that I've got now is the fact that I've lost that DPP link between my backline and my midfield, but that can only be temporary as well. I've either got Fife or Laird, I can switch back there, but at this stage, I want to keep on to Butts, because with that score, his break-even's low again. He'll make me some nice cash, I think. And there's no other bloke there that you'd look to trade out at this stage. So that is one trade that I'll definitely make. And now I've got 298,000 in the bank. So unfortunately, I can't go up to a Jack McRae. I want to get Campbell out. So what I'd love to do is obviously trade out Campbell. But there's no one in the forward line that I'm interested in at this stage. So I'm going to use some DPP just so we'll get Scotty up there. And that gives me 542,000 to use in the midfield. So if you look at some of the names there, I am absolutely gutted that I can't get Sam Walsh this week. 568,500 with a score of 144. His price has gone right up. And Campbell is a man that I do want to get out. So that is just so frustrating for me. 26k away from being able to make that move, and I think that's probably the safest move at this stage, so I can't do that. So that's really unfortunate. So you look down the list, Lines I can't afford, lots of these guys I can't afford. Even someone like a Boak is 564, Bond, no. Mundy, I'm just not interested in. And again, I can't even afford Mundy, which is just, yeah, amazing. Petrarca, I'm not going near someone like a Selwood. Took, I can't afford. Don't get Tommy Mitchell in. I really don't recommend that. This is a man that I can. Brayshaw. So, 482,000. I had him as a trading option after the first 2 weeks. We saw what happened to him when he copped a hard tag in rounds 3 and 4. Didn't cop as much attention over the weekend and bounces back with, was it a 117, I think? I'm not too sure. I can't see it on the screen, but I think it was a 117. So the issue with this is that, or that might have been his break. It was his break even, might be around 118 now. I'm not too sure. But yeah, the issue is with Brayshaw, I'm still not 100% sold, and I'm maybe getting myself in a fake premium. So I do rate this pick. I rate him as a selection. There's no guarantee that he goes up or down in price. I think that he's got the capability to reach that break even this week. So the issue for me is if I don't go with him this week, or if I don't go with a premium this week, I'm just falling further and further behind the pack. But part of me wants to just do the Jones trade this week. And look, you never know. And I suppose a lesson, I suppose, with someone like a Ridley is that you never know when you're going to cop one of these injuries. And you need to be really conservative with your trades. You know, the other trade that I would love to do is actually get Titch out for Jack Macrae, to be quite honest. So that's a trade that I'd love to do because I'm absolutely sick of Tom Mitchell, but I can't bring myself to do that because sideways trading, or it's not sideways, it's an upgrade. You know, you're paying an extra 100k on that, but I just can't recommend that to anyone else. So may not be a wasted trade in the end, but I don't think that I can bring myself to do it. I think I've just got to ride Titch out and somehow just hope for the best. But that is really, really tempting for me to just get Jack Macrae in for Tom Mitchell. But yeah, I think the sensible move will be to probably get Brayshaw in for Campbell, or else even wait one more week, which I know is going to be tough, downgrade to a Finn Macrae, and then look to get maybe his brother in, Jack Macrae, that week. Or Lockie Neal even. So with Neal, I'm not quite sure if this is a week to get him in because he's going to get tagged by Curnow. Well, I'd assume that he would. And yeah, he didn't cop really any attention over the weekend at all. There may have been something there which I didn't notice too much on my phone when I was watching, but yeah, it seemed like Essendon gave him a bit of a free run. But we know that Neal has returned to full training now, or apparently it's the first week that he's actually trained for the whole week. Yeah, that's a concern for non-owners. So Neal's the other bloke that I'll be taking a look at. So that's my issue with Brayshaw, is that I can go early this week, get an extra premium in, which will hopefully boost the round score. But at the same time, if he comes out and punches out a 60-odd score like we've seen in rounds 3 and 4, then I'll be kicking myself and I won't be able to get Macrae, Neal or Steele for a little while. So that's a big decision, and it could really, I won't say make or break my season, but yeah, it's going to have a big influence on how I go on the rankings short term. So I'll let you know how I go. I may even make another video later on the week. We'll see how we go. But yeah, that's what I'm looking to do at this stage. Definitely Clark down to Jones. And then maybe something else. Maybe I may even hold off for the week. But yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit more later on in the week. And yeah, I'll let you go there, guys. I do need to get into the stock market video, so I will get into that now. Maybe out a little bit later this week, but the advantage is that we don't have a Thursday night game this week. We do start on the Friday night, so I'll do my best to get out tomorrow night, but if not, hopefully it'll be about Wednesday afternoon. So take care, guys. I hope you had a much better week than me, and hope everything goes well. Take care. I'll see you soon in the stocky. Bye.